Hello, my name is Voja and welcome to my deep guide and to another edition of Q&A. So let's begin. Hi Voja, I have a question on Kaleido's screen. Are these two panels with black and white and color content work separately or together? I mean, when you have a color on display, is it just color panel or is it also supported by a shade of gray that represents the color on the black and white screen? I'm not sure if I understood the question entirely correctly, but if I didn't misunderstand it, it's basically how does the Kaleido screen work? And I have a dedicated video about that, so you can check out my channel and find out how Kaleido panels, and you'll find quite a lot there. But essentially, basically, it's a black and white screen that just has black and white e-ink cells, like any regular black and white e-ink screen. But what it has on top is a layer, like a stencil, that has printed very precise, very tiny red, green, and blue stripes. And these are so small that they basically cover roughly the size of 1 or 2 ink cells. So what it actually does then, it's basically turning into between white and black, so shade of gray, so how far the black cells will come up to the surface. And then that it's calibrated in such a way that that cell is underneath a specific color strip, right? So if you want a full-on bright green, then you're gonna put black cells and block out the red and blue stripes on that on that stencil, and the white ink cell is going to be underneath the green stripe, and that will give you a greenish type of tint because it's on top of the screen itself. So basically that's, and you get the shades by actually applying a grayscale between that, and also you can then combine the colors so that you can combine them and you can get the yellows and all of the other ones. So that is basically how the Kaleido type of screen technology works, and that's called passive color technology simply because it is always present. There's no way for you to turn on or off color content or color functionality. It is always there, and unfortunately, because it's always there and because it's on top of everything, that is the reason why the Kaleido screens are darker, and you can never have as bright of an image on a Kaleido screen as you can on a regular black and white e-ink screen. I love the series. Thank you for the videos. I can't wait for the news about your video game. As a game developer myself, I would like to know how would you rate the performance of the Note Air 3C Supernote A5X 2. For this exact purpose, my main focus is designing characters, writing dialogues, acts, scenarios, and world building, mostly using sketches, text, and mind maps. Which device would be better suited for that purpose? Any other remarks from the perspective of a game developer lead would be very helpful for my team as well. Well, I think that out of the box, both apply really, really well for that type of purpose. The main difference between the two is basically what your own workflow priority and accent is on. So what I mean by that is Supernote platform, A5, A5X2, A6, A6X2, doesn't matter. Supernote platform has an incredible amount of power and elegance in the overall user interface and how it's actually all cohesive and it works in a really good way. And when you actually put on top of that the power of the linking and the headings that you can add into the notebooks, and that you can actually dump in hyperlinked PDF files as notebooks as well, that kind of unlocks a tremendous amount of potential for a developing design document for a game. What I mean by that is you could have a notebook, central notebook with, just headings for specific categories, which are basically links to other notebooks which contain more detailed information, let's say character design. So maybe you have like your main notebook there has character design, you tap on that, that goes to a character design notebook. And then in the character design notebook you can have systems, logic, user interface, and then characters or character definitions or character attributes, and each of those can be a link to another notebook if you so choose. And then that one can actually be yeah, each one of those can be organized in such a way that, for example, for characters, you can have character classes, character attributes, and then all of this kind of stuff, and all of that can be used with headings so that you can go to the table of contents and quickly navigate from one character class to another character class and switch and check out what the attributes are, etc., etc. And you can easily just create a tiny little home link or something like that in each of those notebooks so that you can travel back. But Supernote also has travel back functionality in the lower left corner, I think, so that you can always come back to the previous. You can follow the breadcrumb trails where you came from, and you can go to either the previous one where you came from or the initial one where you came from originally, which in this case would be your initial design document. So that feature itself is incredibly powerful, but only if your workflow is like that. Note A5X, on the other hand, has incredible power simply because it has colors. You can't neglect that. And in game design, that's something that is and can be important, not for color referencing or anything like that, but just as an easy way of organizing and recognizing things at a glance. So the color capability is something that's really, really good. Second thing that's really important about the Note A5X is the flexibility. And I really love the ability to just quickly go into the web browser, look something up, go back, okay, do this, and then do a lot of work on it. And it's a hybrid type of work because I have my e-ink reader with incredible capabilities. I have a note taker with really good capabilities, not as good as the Note Air, as the Supernote, but really, really good in itself. So much so that I use text boxes in a notebook page to type out pseudocode that I need, just because previous pages I was handwriting the design and things like that. So it's a very organic type of thing. And on top of that, you can use a portable keyboard, but you can use that on both of them. But on the Note A3, you can use any app that you want, and most importantly, you can directly work in a Google Doc or a Word file or an Excel file or a Google Sheet file. And that's something that's really powerful because you don't have to do the exporting process or anything like that. You're simply just working, doing it, saves it to the cloud, and when you're done from your portable workflow or wherever you were, and you sit back at your workstation or laptop, it's all there in the cloud, and you just continue working, and then you can pick up and from last stop where you were. So yeah, I think both are very, very powerful and very capable for this type of work, but it really does depend on what your primary workflow is and what the priorities of your workflow are. Another one is regarding the bookshelves on the Boox platform. Bookshelves are great when you are able to add one book to many bookshelves, but here you can't do that, and this makes no sense. No difference between bookshelves and directory mode. I agree on the absence of that ability to have one book on several bookshelves. That would make sense because you could just kind of distribute it into multiple categories. I get that, but I disagree with the other part, that there's no difference between the bookshelves and the directory mode. Absolutely there is, because one of the key things is that you can have books or documents from different folders accumulated into a single bookshelf. So they don't all have to be in the same folder, but they can all be in the same bookshelf category, and that itself might be something that you want, because maybe you have your library sorted out in genre, but you want to have a bookshelf in according to the author, and then you can sort it out like that and things like that. So that's just a basic example, but you get what I mean. So no, it's not exactly the same, but yeah, the first point that you made, I definitely agree. The next one is in regarding the my own kind of videos that I like to make, or I used to make some time ago, where I was making a new synthesizer patch or sound from scratch, patch from scratch on synthesizers, and the user just says, I miss this, I miss them too, and I wish I had the time But as I mentioned before, that game development is now in a crunch period, so that is occupying all of my time. But once I get to have a little bit more time, I absolutely guarantee you that I'm going to be coming back to these, because I really, really miss them as well, and I loved doing those. Basic question. Is the basic difference between the Boox Tab Ultra series and the Note Air series the screen, aka the writing experience? The specs between the two are practically identical. Well, yes, the practically identical. It's not even the screen. It's just the screen surface that's different, right? So one Note Air series has a paper-like screen surface laminated on top of the screen, and it favors the writing experience at a slight cost of distorting the clarity of the content, screen content, while the Tab Ultra prioritizes the clarity of the screen content at the expense of worse writing experience, because it doesn't have that laminated screen paper screen surface, and as such, yes, it has slightly clearer image quality, but much worse writing experience. The additional differences are also in the operating system itself. There are some differences between the Boox Tab OS versions and the regular OS versions. Tab OS versions are more geared towards like a tablet, so you have more control, you have more options to adjust. You can adjust your mouse, you can adjust quite a few things are adjustable, but also some are mysteriously missing, you know, that are available on the Note Air series. So it's a bit of a mess, and obviously there's the difference of having the camera on some of the Tab devices, which obviously none of the Note Air devices have. Great video, thank you. However, it's regarding the Easy Radiant. After watching the video, I still can't find the answer to my simple question. Does this thing have the same experience as reflective LCD? How are they comparing to each other in your experience? Based on your updated comments, I'm still confused. Most people don't care about the two technologies differ. All we want to know is how the experiences are different or the same. This is the most important piece of information missing in your video, and I hope you can provide some clarity on this. Blah, 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 blah. It is addressed, and I do refer to it as a reflective LCD. Now, I refer to it throughout the entire video as a reflective LCD. It is so much the same as a reflective LCD that basically, until you have the option of flipping on the backlight, it is exactly the same, because it is a mirror that reflects back. Now, if you read the technical sheets, the difference is, I think, the intensity of the reflectivity between the TLCD and RLCD is 5% in favor of RLCD. But that's something that you're never going to be able to notice because of the reflectivity issues that we've talked about, and both panels suffer from that same thing. So unless you're in optimal conditions, both panels are going to have the same pros, cons, etc., etc. The only real difference is that the TLCD, because it's a one-way mirror kind of thing, and this is where it is important for users to actually know what the difference in technology is, because then they can know what to expect from it and what the differences are, what the strengths and weaknesses are. Because if you read an RLCD, then you know, hey, this is not a backlit device. Hey, this will not work in suboptimal conditions. While if you read a TLCD and you are informed about what that technology actually means, then you will probably look for information. Hey, this technology can have backlight. Does it have it? Oh, it does. So that means that I can have a better experience in suboptimal lighting conditions than I would be able to have with a reflective LCD panel. So I hope that this actually clarifies a little bit more your question. Seems like they might be introducing a new tablet to go with this. This is in regards with the Boox Black Pen. Perhaps a new 13.3 inch with a cover that has an appropriate loop to fit this specific pen. And then another sub-comment is, or reply to that comment is, you're right, according to e-ink's internal staff, the 300 ppi 13.3 inch e-ink screen is out. And yes, that screen actually has been out since late last year, so it is not unreasonable to expect that maybe, hopefully, we will get a 13.3 inch color Kaleido 3 panel with 300 ppi which would be absolutely fantastic, because up until now it was yeah, the main problem with 13.3-inch panels was the resolution, because it was really low at 207 ppi. So if we actually get like a Kaleido 3 color panel with 300 ppi on a 13.3-inch, that's a really high resolution. So first of all, that device is going to need to have some serious specs to run that resolution in a good way. Second of all, if it's going to be a Boox device that's actually going to use yeah, the BSR technology, then doubly so, it will need to have really good performance to actually be able to run all of that at the same time together. So we will see. I think it's going to be interesting, but I'm afraid that the pricing of those devices is going to be really painfully high. I'm surprised you have not mentioned anything at all about the Duo Kobo Color. Will you have a review on them soon? Well, I have. In the previous Q&A, I did actually mention that I wasn't in contact with Kobo back then when I was recording that video, but at the time of recording this video, since then, I have reached out to them and they have confirmed, and both of the Duo Kobo Color devices are on their way and I should have them soon. So hopefully in about 2 weeks I should have the unboxing videos of one or both of those on my deep guide, depending on when they arrive. Hi, I have a question. Where is the center of gravity on the new Boox pen? Is it balanced right at the center or heavier at the tip? I believe that's qualifies at around center-ish, something like that. This is actually a commentary on the old Mobiscribe Origin video that I made. So it says, it's too late to ask, but I'm still interested in the Origin and found a deal for $80 as they don't ship to UK anymore. Will you still suggest it for note-taking mainly? I have Boox Nova Air, but even that felt too large for my needs as a pocket note-taking device. This is the only small Wacom option I can find. Well, I loved my Nova Air more, and I used it more than I used the Origin. That being said, yes, Nova Air is bigger, but the Mobiscribe Origin, even despite it having a much smaller screen, it's a bulky one, because if you look at its design, it has wide bezels and things like that. So it is smaller than the Nova Air, but not by as much as you think it would. Now, depending on, you know, if you really want it to fit in your pocket, and Nova Air doesn't fit into your pocket, then yes, it is smaller, it is lighter, it is made out of plastic, so it's a little bit more portable, definitely more portable. And yes, as a note taker primarily, I absolutely do prefer it, and I do prefer it over the Wave devices, because those are way too bulky, as far as I'm concerned, way too bulky. And also they have the glass screens that are a little bit harder and a little bit more slippery. And they honestly don't really, platform-wise, they don't really offer anything dramatically new or so much superior to the Origin itself. So if you find a good deal, I think it's definitely worth at least trying it out and checking it out, especially for $80. That's actually a really good deal. Does the Supernote have an internet browser? Internally, under the hood, somewhere around there, yes. There was a hack, the way to actually access it, which was blocked off after some of the updates, but right now, the Supernote platform does have the ability to sideload APK files, which means that if you're open to whole that adventure of sideloading apps onto your device and exposing it to potential issues that carries away with itself, security risks, etc. And if you're not if you don't care about that, then yes, you can actually install any APK file that you want, which means that you can have any Android-based browser installed on the Supernote and then use it that way. Is it going to be a good experience? Not really, because you don't have proper screen refresh control over it, and it's not meant for that. But technically, yes, you can install an internet browser and then you can use it on the Supernote device. Now we know that Voja wears Crocs shoes. Oh no! The secret is out! This one is in regards the Remarkable 2. Has anything changed in the 3 years since you produced this video, which, by the way, is amazingly helpful. Thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And it's interesting to see that it's still something that people visit. Actually, yes, there's a ton has been changed, and that's why I have playlists on my channel. So If you're not aware of playlists, you definitely should check them out because they're quite useful, and especially in long-running platforms like this, which I do kind of follow up. Every single update is updated and covered on the mydeepguide. So if you go to Remarkable 2 playlist, you can actually follow the development and the chronologically as it was going on, and as tons of things were going on and ups and downs and all sorts of stuff, so that you can actually get kind of caught up by all of that. If that's not what you want, because there's tons of video there, I made at the end of last year, so December last year, there was like a recap of Remarkable in 2023, and where I recapped all of the updates that were done in 2023. So it doesn't cover 2021, 22, but it does cover 23. So that's something that you can definitely check. But yeah, for all coverage, you have all updates there. Well, all right, that's it for this edition of Q&A. Thank you so much for all the questions and for being engaged. And that just makes it a lot more fun for me to do all of these things. As always, please do post your questions and comments in below on this video, especially if you want me to address them in the next Q&A, because this is the first place where I look when I'm preparing the material for the next Q&A. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and see you in the next video. Bye.